I'm looking to make some fun Valentine gifts that will be year-round useful. Hello friends, Flaum here, and today I'm going to do an embroidery hoop project that's not embroidery at all, featuring my scan and cut. So the first thing I've done here is gathered fabrics, a solid, and I also have just kind of a little outline of what my embroidery hoop size is, just for my own reference. And I've gathered some fabrics, a solid and a print, and I've also gathered some lace trim to just kind of lay out what I envision the pocket and the background of this being. Now, sewing is actually optional. The only reason I'm sewing at all is because I want to sew this trim once I've ironed everything onto the pocket, and that will be my first step to set up. So I'm just sewing it to the pink fabric, and you can see here just a nice straight stitch, and I have some clips down to keep everything pinned in place really nicely. Just a nice little straight stitch here, nice and slow and easy. That's the only mandatory sewing in the actual project, and even that could be skipped if you don't want to. My next step, of course, is to get out some heat transfer vinyl and get the scan and cut out. Now that I see my size, and now that I have my hoop out here and can see what size the pocket's going to be, where I want to add heat transfer elements, I'm going to get out my ruler and just kind of measure and make note of maximum sizes of things that will work. Because I'm working with an oval hoop, that makes it even more pronounced how narrow the top and the bottom are. My intention is just to use a couple of little built-ins to add some fun decor to this. And I've seen these all over the internet, so much fun. So you can hang this on your wall, and you can tuck like little bits and pieces. I think I'm going to tuck a little card and maybe a decorative tag and a gift card in and make these as gifts. So one tip I will give you, if working as a batch, if creating a batch of gifts for friends, you can create more than one. And that's exactly what I intend to do here. While we're making one of these in the video, what you'll notice is I'm actually going to be making several of these. Now here I have selected an intricate heart pattern, and I'm going to make more than one of them because I'm going to make different ones in different colors for different people. So that's one tip I have for you, is go ahead and batch cut with that scan and cut so that you can really get the most out of it. I'm going to continue to select options, and I'm just kind of walking through some of the built-in patterns here on my scan and cut, because tip to you and a reminder, it's always a good thing to go through and to really know what you have available, to really know what built-ins are even there before you go and purchase additional designs or source another design. Make sure that you really know if you're going to, what you already have and what can be used. So I am going in here and I am going to add some flowers, and I'm also going to add some hearts because I could see both of those being really nice on my lace trim there. And what I love about a project like this, we can make this as intricate as we want. If you would like to do hand embroidery or stitching of any kind, maybe build some kind of intricate felt design on top, or have that cut out fabric pieces and do applique. You can make this as intricate as you like, but you can also keep it really simple. And for me, I love projects like that, so that when I'm in the mood or I have the time to make something that takes me all day or multiple days, I can do that. But when I don't have to. All right, so we've got our flower, and I'm resizing it down a little, just a little more to make it 1 inch, and then I'm making a bunch of them because, again, as I said, I do intend to make more than one of these. So by batch creating and having multiple options, that just means that I'm going to have more pieces to work with. And I'm only going to do enough for about 3 here, but you could make as many or as few as you would like. Now I've got this in, and then I do know that I want one other shape, and I am kind of gathering groups here in the corners. One of my big tips when working with heat transfer vinyl, and when you're not going to do a ton, and so you can see I'm just going to go back in pattern here and grab a heart. And if you're new to the scan and cut, you can see this really is just raw video feed of me creating. It really is this easy. But one of my big tips to you, if you're working with heat transfer vinyl, you can use very small pieces, and I like to kind of cluster my pieces into corners. It makes it really easy for me to then use, say, small 4 or 5 inch squares or rectangles of heat transfer vinyl on my mat, multiple colors, and get them all cut at the same time. Here you can see I've got pink and the mint and the sparkly white all going down at the same time, all on the mat. Transfer side down, iron on side up. If we had any text, we would want to reverse that, but this is a no text project, so we don't need to do any of that. But we can push this button here and scan. The built-in scanner in the Scan and Cut is such a huge feature and so important to my creating, because it lets me verify, even if I think I'm pretty close, even if I think, oh, yeah, you've got this. It lets me verify this. And as you can see here, I can look and say, oh, whoops, I was a little off, or this is a little crooked, so I better move these items around. And it lets me go ahead and do that. No computer involved necessary. It's all right there in the machine and on the screen for me to work with and use. So again, you can move things around as you need to or as you see fit. In this case, I realized that I put the flowers, I meant to put them on the white, but I had put them down on the mint green. So really quickly and easily, I can just move those on around. Gives me the chance to kind of check myself, check my work, think through my process, make sure I've got everything just so. And then when ready to cut, you're going to go ahead and go into cut. And remember that the DX has auto blade. In this case, when I select cut, half cut is already selected. It's already on, as it shows you right there. So we can go ahead and start and cut. Once cut, we are going to want to go ahead and weed. Now I do intend to put a flower out of paper up at the top of this project, but I want to focus on the vinyl first. So for the weeding, it's exactly what it sounds like. We're just removing all of the vinyl that we do not want to cut. And you're going to want to move nice and slow, and you're going to want to take care to not tear, take care to not pull, and just make sure everything is coming off nicely. And then for that heart, I'll just need to sit, and my Brother craft pick tool, which is available separately for purchase, makes a really handy helper to get all the little tiny bits and pieces out of there and off of our design so that we can transfer. You'll want to get out your iron and get it nice and hot. You'll also want either an ironing board, or I have a thick felt pad that I use for ironing. Both are good options. I lay out the inner hoop just to make sure wherever I'm placing things that it is going to be seen, that it is going to be workable and not right at the edge. And once I am satisfied with that, the transfer material has a little bit of stickiness to it, so it kind of holds nicely in place on the fabric. I can set that aside, and then I'm going to want to get some material. In this case, I'm really just going to use the same fabric, place it over, and then heat press. And really just, you're going to want to check a few times. You're going to want to see if it's transferred. If it hasn't, you put your cover back over. And the cover is so that you don't burn your vinyl. So as you lift, as you can see, these ones are flying up. They really transferred beautifully. As you lift, if it's lifting with you, then it's not done. Repeat or place down again and heat some more. And then once you have this done, you can go ahead and hoop it. Hoop it on up. It's ready. Now this particular hoop that I'm using is a little unusual. The outer part, normally they're adjustable, and this one is more, you just have to roll it on over. So it's a little different of a hoop than the usual, but you know what? It's a lot of fun and it's so cute. So to do that now, and remember, we can add more if we want to, or if at this point you wanted to hand stitch anything, I would do it now. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to put the pocket and the backing material together because we want that to stay a pocket. I will tell you, if you're having trouble or if it's not quite sturdy enough, you may need to use some stabilizer. That's going to be, or stabilizer, or some kind of a backing sheet. I didn't have room in this particular one to get anything else through because I have that lace and the pocket and everything. It's super, super tight. So you want to get it through, you want to pull it nice and tight. And as you can see, the pocket is still there and it still works. I just think this is the most fun and most clever. You're going to want to pull all your fabric in. There's a couple different ways you can do it. Some people like to glue. I'm going to just do a running stitch. And I'm going to go around twice just for stability. And just when you pull it through, it's just going to kind of pucker everybody up and gather everybody up. As you can see here, as I'm starting to work on this, gathers everybody up, puckers everybody up, and gets everything pulled together. I also trimmed if I had an excessive amount of fabric on any spot, like the corners. I just kind of trimmed so it's more even all the way around, just a little fabric through. Some people trim it a lot more. Like I said before, glue it or glue some kind of backing material onto there. There's a lot of options and choices here depending on what you prefer and what will work for you. Now with all of this done, I had mentioned that topper, and that's exactly what we're going to go do now. We're going to pick a flower, any flower. And I had mentioned that I wanted it about 2 inches, just based on when I had my ruler out, I made a note that about 2 inches would be good. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then once that is set, I also want a leaf. So I'm going back in to grab a leaf. I have said it before, I'll say it again, but I love how easy this is. We can resize, we can add and subtract, we can do everything right here in the machine as we create. And in this case, on this day, my internet was actually out. And isn't that lucky, because I did not need any to create this. I was able to just work with my scan and cut and keep on crafting, no problem. As long as we have power, I should say. Luckily, yes, everything is good there. Now, I've got those three separated, and I'm going in and turning off half cut. I'm going to cut them out of 3 different cardstocks, but all of the cardstocks are fairly similar in thickness, so we can cut them all out at the same time. And as you can see, it's going through and cutting. Once you're all done cutting, here I'm moving in fast forward because nice and quick and easy. I'm bending my petals just to give it a little bit of oomph, a little bit of dimension. I've got my leaf here, and I'm getting out my hot glue gun. You can use hot glue, you could use liquid adhesive, basically whatever adhesive you like. I'm also going to tie a little ribbon around the top here just to add a little more texture and fun. Then we're just going to start with our largest or base layers and work our way smaller as we adhere this. Now, I will note that I have used hot glue on this surface before, and I will tell you that if I decide I change my mind, I actually can pick it off and pretty easily, pretty cleanly get it off. That's one of the reasons I like that, so that if I ever want to repurpose this, or my friend wants to repurpose this, it is very doable. And my last little accent here, I'm going to add a few little button details just for fun on the flowers down below, as well as the one up top, just to kind of keep that continuity, keep that going. And it's done. I'm ready to make the next one. I'm ready to keep on gifting. And I hope that I've inspired you here today to get a little outside the box and consider a project. Maybe if it's not in your usual realm of making, consider trying something a little bit different, getting your tools out and making the most of that scan and cut. I wish you very happy crafting, and I hope you will stay tuned to the Brother Scan and Cut blog as well as YouTube channel for inspiration and ideas galore.